Tapping in.
Are we live?
And if we're getting into more uncomfortable conversations and moving right along to the last part of the show, Miles, I'm sorry I have to do this to you like this. It's already here.
Oh, but it. Hold on. Never have we ever. Wow. Never have we ever started with the rating. It's too late. It's too late.
But nah. That rating is wrong. That rating is too high. This is the hip hop part of the show. If you got sensitive ears, this is the time to dip on out. We're getting to talk about that real. Miles Xavier, you as the biggest Meek Mill fan that I know, you as somebody that put me on the Meek, you as the in-house Meek Mill correspondent, kindly explain to us what it is that we put into our ears this weekend with Meek Mill's Expensive Pain.
I want everybody out here to listen and to know one thing and one thing only. All right, look, Championships is an amazing album. All right, Championships is fantastic. Right, it's a green cover. Go look for it on all your streaming platforms, Apple Music, Spotify, wherever y'all at. Go find Championships. You know what I'm saying? That is what you should listen to right after this. It's a great, amazing project. That's all I got on this one, man. I hate to wrap it up early, but we're gonna get out of here. Meek Mill Championships, fire. Peace.
I mean, look, what I think the uncomfortable conversation is Meek's relevance in today's hip hop, and the difficult thing about it too is that I heard somebody once say that I think they were saying 21 Savage is bigger than Meek, and I was like, no way, it can't be, because we grew up on Meek. You know, I was just listening to Burn recently, and if you haven't heard Burn, that Burn remix, that's 2013, 2014, that's incredible Meek. And then from that, we got a lot of pretty solid projects for Meek, right? Wins and losses. I really enjoyed Championships. I really enjoyed Dreams Worth More Than Money was also really cool. DC4 is my personal favorite out of the bunch. So coming into Expensive Pain, I was quite excited, but I had a call with you, Miles.
Words.
Don't do that. Don't be too scared to give your opinion.
But all right, but I also got to give you your flowers because you low key did. I can't have an honest conversation without acknowledging that I thought it was gonna be good, and you were told me, and I was like, bruh, and then I was like, damn.
I believe the words were, "Zwe, you're tweaking. You can't be. You are dead wrong. You are dead wrong," is what you said.
That might be including some additional sauce, but I will take that. I'll take it because I was wrong, and that's the bottom line. Low, like I am, like you said, I'm a huge fan of Meek. I'm not that big a fan. We don't need to play that. I mean, I remember the 2011 horrible audio days. We don't got to take it all the way back for the flashback, but it's Meek is somebody who I've always really enjoyed and always had to hear other people tell me how much they don't enjoy him until the whole Free Meek thing where he was a part of when social justice was sexy and his incarceration was egregious. And those two things played into each other in such a way that he got a lot more love than I've ever seen him get. And I felt really happy for him. But I think that's part of the reason that album that came out of that Championships was so good. And this one wasn't great. And I felt tricked because everything leading up to this, the Lemon Pepper freestyle was fire. War Stories freestyle, fire. Mandela freestyle, fire. And a lot more conscious, a lot more introspective, and related a lot more to the Championships we heard than what we got on this album. So I was looking for another step up in growth, and I felt like it was a kind of a step back because it wasn't as hungry. And I think that Meek relies a lot on that hunger as part of his what is allure.
You know, what's happening to Meek is what was happening to Dave East in 2018, 2019, around that time, right? Where he came out with a very unique sound, undeniably dope, dropping just albums that we love, from Black Rose and going all the way to Kyrie Chanel, which had Type of Time, which is still a street classic. Not obviously to the same degree that Dreams and Nightmares is, but it's comparable in the sense that it gets to a point where there's ear fatigue that you get with an artist, right? Not to say that this is bad music, because if knowing how difficult it is to create music, and this is created well, the sonically it's there, the features that you want to see would be there. But I think the we've been getting the same volume, same tonality, same type of Meek, and that gets a little bit tiring. And then when you layer that onto modern sounds, it feels a little bit it's a bit of Meek being the person, Meek catering to the person that he's featuring on this album, was always created to be open with albums, with features. And I think that's one of the key differences behind it. Where creative goes from there, I don't know. It would be very interesting to see where creative goes from there. I don't even know what I'd say would be dope for Meek to make. What I'm not the biggest fan of is the girl songs. He seems to make a lot of those girl songs. I blame Lil Durk for that.
So you're not feeling the girl songs on this album, but Dangerous and 24/7 go crazy. Do you know? From the last album.
They do, but that's two girl songs that I like over. It's a heavy shot. It's a heavy shot.
But that's why I think I was disappointed by this album, was because he did everything on the last album. He did the fire intro that he's known for. He did introspective beats or introspective tracks with lyrics that related to the situation in terms of in terms of incarceration and over criminalization. He did more introspective tracks speaking about the streets from a different angle on like Oodles and Noodles Babies and championships and trauma. Even the emphasis on trauma, like as that became a buzzword in academic circles, being trauma informed, right? It was so much more. It spoke to an artist that could be so much more than the energeticness that allowed him to eat. And I speak about hunger when I talk to Meek, because I think that was one of the things that attracted me to Dream Chasers 2, to Nothing But Flamers. Even was this kid was hungry, and this kid was trying to out rap anybody that you thought could rap. And the conversation gets bigger and broader when we talk about like, what is it for an artist to be happy? You know, it makes me think of Chance the Rapper's album, Big Day. Everybody universally that I talked to thought that was trash. And a big part of that was because he was so tangibly happy throughout that whole album. And there's a question of, do we want our artists to be happy for real? Or do we want them to be hungry, pushed to the point of making the best possible music they can make? Some artists might make music better happy, but I think Meek, there's a point where I'm listening to this and I go, he wasn't going through as much. He wasn't forced to sit and think as much. And as much as we have to be careful about glorifying how rappers have a tendency to, whenever they're incarcerated or in jail, come out with some fire projects, what do we really want for these artists and the people behind them? And what does it mean to be a fan? So hearing this, I'm like, he's not trying to make me think. He seems like he just came in, he's from being on a jet ski somewhere and he wants to, or being on a bike. I feel like this whole album sounds fire if you're sitting on a bike doing donuts in a back alley, right? But it's not trying to be as thoughtful as the previous work. And if that's him enjoying his life, then that's what I want for him, but it might not be what I want for the music. And so from that perspective, I gotta not give it a pass and not put my cape on, but just gotta be like, to your point, this isn't bad music. It's just not the step forward that I wanted from Meek. And maybe that's because he's not as under pressure.
And you're well within your right to say that, because before that we got Championships, which was his best work, and then even before that we had Wins and Losses, which wasn't particularly big for everybody, but Wins and Losses to me is a very, very solid project, you know. And even with how he approached Wins and Losses, it was, again, like you say, from a very introspective perspective, very introspective point of view, stepping after the Drake. This was slightly after Drake, but you know, the jail system and the girlfriend, Nicki Minaj, whatever the case is, he was coming from a very dark place when he was writing, and that was a step forward. Maybe this is jet ski music, and me and you are not on jet skis. We are placid over here. But one thing that we can't do, and I want to get your rating too, so we can just quickly get just what West Side Gun is doing with that Hitler Wears Hermes is fly.
Yeah.
It's super, super fly. Maybe that even deserves a review on its own. But if we're speaking about music that is getting flyer, niggas is sleeping on West Side Gun, you know? But for what's your ranking and what do you give this album?
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned so much of the things that make me feel about Meek the way I do. We've seen him come back from a super fumbled beef with Drake. We've seen him come back from an ugly breakup with Nicki Minaj because he's that talented. And so I'm not really that worried about his next projects or like his future in the rap game. This project just wasn't for me. And if I can, in my own head, make that because he's too happy, then, you know, that just shows that I'm just a super fan in my own world. I got to give this a 3 out of 5 because it's not bad. There are 6 solid songs that I like off of it. If I could do my highlights, it would be Tweaking. It would be the track with Kehlani. It would be, there's a couple other joints on there that are decent, especially towards the end of the album. But so it's not bad, but for Meek, much like in the way that I was like, Donda isn't bad, Certified Lover Boy isn't bad, Expensive Pain isn't bad, but it's a C+ for the artist that made it. So a 3 out of 5 is where I'm gonna put that at. What about you?
I'd give it I'd do the same thing. I'll do it at 3.5. The standouts for me, Flamer's Flow was dope. Blue Notes 2, I dug a lot. Tweaking was pretty cool. The rest of it wasn't particularly too enticing for me. It did make me want to go back to older Meek, so I'll do that. But for this one, I think we're gonna have to. I'll give it a pass.
Yeah, not my favorite, but excited for whatever comes next. So with that, cool. You know what I'm saying?
Hey man,
Rush out of that conversation. But what other hip hop? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That what was you saying is fire?
Hitler Wears Hermes 3 is super dope, man. Check out Size A, Size B. West Side Gun is doing some incredible stuff. If you haven't checked out that Mock Kami, he's got some new stuff coming. Not my absolute favorite, but if you're enjoying that type of music, definitely go give that a look. What else came out that we've been listening to? I'm really digging. I'm listening to a lot of Afro beats, a lot of pianos over here in South Africa, which is dope. Van Jess put up some the deluxe part. The Van Jess Deluxe album is pretty dope.
Yep. Check out that Van Jess. What's that? Homegrown? That Van Jess
Homegrown Deluxe.
Crazy. Now and Then Life Was Beautiful. If you're not on that album, get on that.
Yeah.
Brody, God Family Money. Just giving away all the gems. Dropping all the gems on y'all, man.
What you reading these days, Brother Mouse?
I'm wrapping up a book on reparations called From Here to Equality that kind of went on snooze when I went on vacation. But there's a new book by Anita Hill called Believing that has to do with pre-Me Too movement. This woman who was one of the first to bring the term sexual harassment to the forefront of public conversation when she stood up and accused a circuit court judge, Clarence Thomas, of sexually harassing her. And so she's a Black woman. Believing, Anita Hill. I think we should get into that book, maybe chop it up on some recommended and review type stuff later. But yeah, Believing, Anita Hill. Check that one out. What have you been reading, bro?
I'm dipping deeper into my science bag. I'm still reading A Brief History of Time by Steve Hawkins, which is really, really dope. Wrapping up 1984 by George Orwell at the same time. And then I think jumping off of that, I'll dive into the Anita Hill's book that you've recommended.
Yo, back to music right quick. Have you listened to the new Belly album?
I did hear the Belly album. Yes.
What you think about that?
Not very. I think we might have actually covered it on the show before, but I'm not a massive fan of Belly.
I'm not a massive.
I think he's a good writer, but I'm not particularly too fond of his sound.
I'm not a huge personal fan of Belly, but he's one of the artists where I could see a lot more people liking it than I hear talk about it. And so
yeah,
it's one of the albums that I don't love, but I would recommend to people that want some. It's like it's about to be summer on your side, so if y'all trying to turn up, if y'all trying to listen to some, it's very well produced, like energetic music. Great for runs, great for that. Belly, see you next Wednesday. Is that what it's called?
You see you next Wednesday. And Belly's a writer, you know. Belly wrote for The Weeknd, written for Drake, written for everybody. He's got a good pen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
with that, brother.
That's the sound of like the click at the end of the
We didn't give them a fresh show.